Coming up tonight, 150 new registrations and over 50 transfers. Potential voters in the West End and Bimini District are ready to head to the polls. Will the Parliamentary Registration Department be ready for the race whenever it's called? Plus, the Bahamas Union of Teachers weighing in on the ongoing problems in the school system. Find out what she says needs to be done to fix them. And later, entertainment reporter Danielle Miller takes us on a quick trip around the world. As the International Cultural Festival returns, she has a delectable recap and more. Stay tuned as Our News Weekend starts now. This is Our News Weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Megan Shepard. The countdown is on to fill the vacant West End and Bimini constituent seat following the sudden death of Member of Parliament, the late Obi Wilshcombe. Over the past week, a number of candidates have emerged to serve that community, including the Progressive Liberal Party's Kingsley Smith, the Free National Movement's Ricardo Grant, and the leader of the Coalition of Independents, Lincoln Bain. Native Grant Bahamian Daquan Swain has also entered the race as an independent candidate. Prime Minister Philip Davis is expected to announce a date for that by-election soon. But based on parliamentary law, a by-election must happen by November 25th. Since the prospect of a by-election brought on by Wilshcombe's death, there have been more than 150 new registrations and over 50 transfers in the West End and Bimini constituency. Acting Parliamentary Commissioner Arthur Taylor revealing as much, saying officials at the Parliamentary Registration Department are ready for whenever the date is announced, adding that at this point they don't anticipate many unforeseen challenges.
Weather conditions, people's ability to come out to the polls and that kind of thing. And then, of course, the one thing I'd like to say is that I want people to now to take this serious enough to want to go out now and register, those who need to. And those who haven't transferred, because that's the only problem we'll have is, when the day comes in and the announcement is read and you tell them that day, listen, if you didn't register yesterday, you won't be on the register. You can almost imagine what's going to happen there.
And if you are registering for the first time, seeking a replacement card, or transferring due to relocation, you are encouraged to visit the Administrators Complex in Jonestown, 8 Mile Rock, or on Bayshore Road in West End, and in Bimini at the George Weech Administrators Complex. Registration hours are Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., and then again on 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., on Saturday at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Sunday 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
We have everything in place. We were fortunately well ahead of the game in that we were preparing. We had prepared for the junior local government elections, so we had our ballot boxes already painted up and ready for that. Mr. Campbell can speak to it, and we already, as you would have seen, I saw some people were complaining about we started already to send boxes to Grand Bahama, but they were the boxes for the junior local government elections on the island. With that, we were very mobilized. The teams were in place and everything, so we're good with that.
Police investigating yet another traffic fatality this afternoon. Traffic officers arriving on the scene in the Nassau Village community shortly after 4:30 p.m. Police tell us that the victim was a male motorcyclist. Details are limited at this time. Be sure to stay tuned to the Our News social media platforms for details as they become available. Meantime, a 21-year-old male on bail for a series of gun crimes is the latest victim, fatally shot on First Street, Coconut Grove, after 5 yesterday afternoon. Police say the victim was in front of his residence when two armed men got out a small car, chased him, and opened fire. He was shot multiple times as his assailants fled the scene in the car. The incident unfolding near the Grove Police Station. Sergeant Chasewell Hanna says the act speaks to the mentality of the criminals.
The location of this incident very near to our police station, and our officers, we have formed close-knit ties with members of this community and in the households of where this incident happened. In fact, if you see right here this basketball court right here at the rear of the station was refurbished to service the members of this community, and we have people from through this corner on First Street coming to the station on a daily basis to play basketball, and on the weekends we interact with them. So this is this hits very close home to us because we have a strong relationship with members in this community.
Sergeant Hanna says that despite all efforts by police, suspects on bail continue to be targets.
This is another clear example of the boldness and intent on persons who refuse to abide by the law. Our strategies are comprehensive in nature, not only enforcement, but prevention. But as I always say, there's another dynamic to this that is outside of the police hands. We are going to do our part with enforcement and placing these persons before the court. But there's other factors that outside of the ambit of the police that we know may be having an impact on what we see trending.
The teachers union president says she's still working to get to the bottom of the issue she raised a few months ago about foreign teachers unable to speak English. Sasha Lightbourne gets us started tonight with this update.
It may not have been in media headlines in the past few weeks.
You may not have seen me in the media because I do a lot of work behind the scene, meetings, emails, telephone calls, letters. So I'm working behind the scene to ensure that the Cuban teachers who cannot speak English fluently do not negatively impact our students.
Bahamas Union of Teachers President Belinda Wilson reassuring the public she is still focused on the issue of Cuban teachers in the public school system. You may recall back at the start of the school year, Wilson raised this issue of Cuban teachers allegedly unable to speak English, now assigned to teach in the public school system. Educational officials shot down that claim and an investigation launched.
The Ministry of Education was not open to the information that I gave to them, and they tried to say that the information was incorrect. So what I did is I wrote to the Prime Minister. So my understanding is he has asked for a full investigation. Up to about 3 weeks ago, the Minister of Education said that the investigation is not complete.
She also used these examples to highlight her concerns.
One of the Cuban teachers at one of our schools here in New Providence, what he's doing is he's teaching the practical, but from September to now, he's not taught any theory because the children cannot understand what he is saying and he can't understand what they're saying. What we also understand in one of our Family Island schools, the principal has taken the English timetable from the Cuban teacher and given it to a Bahamian teacher.
Wilson says she will continue to do all she can to protect the students.
What I'm interested in is that our children get quality education. And if the Cuban teachers are here and they're unable to speak English, then that's defeating the purpose. Now, I don't know if you all recall, though, several years back, the Bahamas did recruit some Cuban teachers that they had to send back after a few weeks because the language barrier was so great. So it is something that is still on the table, and I'm following it up.
Reporting for our news, I'm Sasha Lightbourne.
Thanks, Sasha. Well, still from the Bahamas Union President Belinda Wilson, she says she has submitted several proposals to successive governments about attracting and retaining teachers in the educational system. Wilson adds that the talent is here at home, but more needs to be done to keep existing teachers and attract new ones. She also says there are teachers on administrative leave that should be in the classrooms, as well as University of the Bahamas teacher graduates that have yet to be placed.
On administrative leave, you may have about 10, and we would have about probably 8 or 10 UB graduates who are still waiting to be placed. So you're talking about 20 able bodies that can be in the classroom now teaching the nation's children.
Wilson says another solution is expanding the teacher cadet program in the high schools.
If you have students in the Teachers Cadet program, then those would be the students that you would identify for your English, math, physical education, history, because they would be the high flyers in those various subjects. So you then put a proper package together as an incentive for them to say, okay, teaching looks attractive to me.
A cybersecurity forum held by the Organization of American States was held in New Providence over the last few days in an effort to raise efforts on the latest threats and share best practices among member states. Highlighting the significance of collaboration when it comes to cybersecurity was Minister of National Security Wayne Monroe, who shared that technology now impacts every aspect of our lives.
Cybersecurity, and by extension cybercrime, is not only a technological issue, but rather it's a cross-border and cross-discipline issue, requiring extensive cooperation and mutual support. Chargé Pitts is familiar with me saying that a chain is as strong as its weakest link. And in this area, that is very critical. And so mutual cooperation and support is vital.
He says cyber attacks are more frequent and more intricate in detail, and it is for those reasons alone that collaboration among countries like the Bahamas and the United States are vital.
Interdependence on technology creates ripe opportunities for cyber attacks, which are becoming increasingly more organized and sophisticated. As a cyber community, we are only as strong as our neighbors. Our commitment to collaboration with our friends and partners, specifically through information sharing on cybersecurity, capacity building, and development at the regional and sub-regional levels, will better position us all to deal with increasingly sophisticated cyber threats.
Well, we've still got more news for you tonight, but first it's time for your first check on weather. Meteorologist Ian McKinsey is standing by in the Weather Center. Good evening, Ian.
Thanks, Megan, and good evening, Bahamas. Welcome to your Sunday's forecast. Currently outside our studios, we're under intermittent clouds, temperature of 80. Winds are from the northeast at 7 miles per hour, with a feels-like temperature of 76. Current temperatures across the islands at this time in our nation's second city, Freeport, we have 79, 80 in Marsh Harbor, Great Harbor Key, also in the capital, as well as Nicholstown and Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera, and 81 in Allenstown, Bimini. For the Central Bahamas, we also have 80 in Camps Bay, Arthurstown, Coburn Town, San Salvador, 81 in Georgetown, and Deadman's Key, Long Island. For the Southeast Bahamas, we have 83 in Duncantown, 83 also in Delectable Bay, 82 in Colonel Hill, Crooked Island, as well as Providenciales, 81 in Abraham's Bay, Mayaguana. Rounding up our temperature profile tonight, Matthewtown and Agua at 85. Taking a first look now at our satellite and radar composite at this time, we have a few more clouds moving into the northwest Bahamas. However, dry air pretty much dominates that area, so we don't expect any shower activity. If any, light, nothing much to worry about. Across the southeast Bahamas, we still have that weak frontal system, and that is expected to trigger pockets of showers and thunderstorm activity as it weakens through tomorrow. Stick around for extended forecasts, and your tropical weather outlook is still to come.
Still to come on Our News Weekend, it's Family Island Focus. And while we know you don't need another reason to fall in love with the beautiful Exuma Keys, our Jamila Mizik has one more enticing reason on the other side of this break. Plus, a mega cruise ship brings some 4,000 passengers to the shores of Grand Bahama. Great news for the second city. That's coming up when Our News Weekend returns.
Favorite Bahamian artist of all time? I'll give you some time to think about it.
The greatest Bahamian song was recorded by the beginning of the end, Funky Nassau.
We're in a day and age where things can be different and still be authentically Bahamian because it's the Bahamian people bringing it to you.
Junkin was like the heart and soul of the Bahamian culture.
Doctors Hospital is reimagined primary care. We've invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. Your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new, modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnosis and true personalized treatment begin. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshos.com.
Exuma has always been a tourist favorite, and now environmentalists and nature lovers have another reason to love these popular keys. Tonight, our Jamila Mizik tells us about a new multi-million-dollar resort property projected to be an eco-tourist paradise.
In 1993, Bob Coughlin fell in love with the Bahamas on his very first visit. And now the American entrepreneur is getting set to open the multi-million-dollar Total Grass Resort on Samson Key. He says the 121-acre property will be a playground for those who love ecotourism.
The people who want to go on an adventure where learning is part of it. To me, ecotourism is about learning and about immersing yourself in the culture. It's why we're going to build an artist studio here. You know, we want to have Bahamian artists here, so when guests come, they want to take a paint class and paint something with one of the artists. That's why we want to have paintings in our cottages that are done by Bahamian artists, as one example, or ceramics, or that type of thing. The nature hikes, the birding, all the water, the snorkeling, and learning about all the things we have here in these beautiful waters.
Still 3 years away from operating at an estimated $60 to $75 million price tag, Coughlin expects to complete phase 1 with 3 new cottages and infrastructure within the next 15 months.
The phase 2 goes into more general buildings, our clubhouse and additional cottages, and if things go well, 2 to 3 years is what it'll take to develop it.
There are currently 8 Bahamians fully employed with the hope of at least 20 people on staff. A project of this magnitude requires some key players to get things off the ground, especially those known to the island, like design architect Lauren Mitchell, who grew up on Little Samson Key. The intention is for the entire project to be powered by renewable energy, specifically solar.
The first set of cottages that we're building are all wood frame, simple structures. We're not doing anything like too outside of the box. We're not bringing an architectural language here that doesn't belong. And I think by doing that alone, by staying consistent with the architectural character of the Bahamas, that is, sustainable.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jamila Mizik.
Thanks, Jamila. Well, the Carnival Venetia, making its 5th call on the Freeport Harbor recently. Welcome news for that local economy. The ship brought over 4,000 visitors, along with about 1,400 crew members. The crew, along with Freeport Harbor executives, vessel agents, and tourism officials, taking part in an onboard plaque exchange. The ship's captain, Paulo Enzo.
It's not our maximum capacity. We can go up to 5,000 guests and 142 crew members. So we are not maximum capacity. It's a little bit down now of the season, then go up when we come to the holiday season, when approaching for Christmas and New Year, we're going up again.
There is a new multi-million-dollar cruise port on the way, set to open in July 2025. It's to welcome mega ships like the Venetia. Enzo has high hopes for the new cruise port.
I like the destination, and as I said, it would be good when will be develop the new destination, new port, because then we have something to offering to the guests, and rather than to go out, because now at the moment you only shop here by the port. You have to go out. You have to take a cab. You have to go to the beach, or you have to go to the tour. The project we're going to do, I think the guests will love it, because you have things outside the pier. So you have a bar, you have a pool.
Residents in Exuma could see an extension campus coming to its shores very soon. Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for the Exumas and Ragged Island, Chester Cooper, revealing at Exuma Business Outlook that the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute plans on bringing its campus to the island. He says this will be key in tapping into the technical abilities of Exuma's youth.
And I'm delighted to tell you that a new BTVI satellite campus will come on stream in Georgetown this year. We need technically qualified people in Exuma to meet the growing demands of our economy and to keep more Exumians home. And we will need the skill sets to accommodate what's coming out in the pipeline.
Cooper hinting that once funding is secured, the campus may be built in Georgetown.
BTVI is going to build a new campus as well, just outside the doors of Ellen Coakley. The only thing missing now is funding. And I think some people in the room may take that as a hint, but I'm just saying it for the record that we're going places and we're putting all the pieces in place.
When our news comes back from the break, the second annual Connect for Cancer Fun, Run, Walk, and Mini Health Expo, a huge success, as over 200 participants came out to show their support. And later, the International Cultural Festival bringing together foodies from around the world. Our Danielle Miller has the details when our News Weekend returns. This is Our News Weekend. Welcome back. Over 200 participants turned out Saturday morning in the South Beach constituency for the second annual Connect for Cancer Fun, Run, Walk, and Mini Health Expo. The event is the brainchild of the Member of Parliament for the area, Pacus Roll, who says the event is important because everyone knows someone affected by breast cancer, whether directly or indirectly. Funds were also raised and donated to 2 breast cancer survivors during the event. He explained the significance of the donation and spoke to us about the turnout.
That's why we do the event, to ease the burden, the financial burden that cancer would have placed on these individuals and their families. So we ease their financial burden through treatment, and just everyday assistance, you know. So this is very important. This is why we have to continue this race and these type of efforts. I am truly impressed by what we saw today. I'm just elated. I think the numbers were up to about 200, 210, 220. I was totally shocked.
And Roll says plans are already in the works for next year's event.
Plans for next year. So, you know, we have Chef Adi that's out there doing some healthy cooking treats. I heard somebody say next year she needs a full kitchen. So we have to work on the full kitchen. So of course, as soon as we leave this race, we're back in the lab and trying to get better at this to ensure that we continue to fight this cancer.
On the other side of the break, Ian McKenzie is back with your extended weather forecast. And as promised, the highlights from the International Culture, Wine and Food Festival. That's coming up when our news continues. Welcome back. Well, we had some great weather today outside our studios, but as to what you can expect heading into the work week, meteorologist Ian McKenzie is back with your extended weather forecast.
Thanks, Megan. Welcome back, everyone. Here's your look now at your extended forecast, but we begin with the tropics first, where we still have Hurricane Tommy out there, who is now gradually pulling away from the northern Leeward Islands, and this system should continue on a northwest, eventually a northward track, and then out into the open Atlantic away from everyone. Across the southeast Bahamas, we still have this pretty much, we still want to call it a front, but it's more like a shear line at this time, but it will continue to trigger pockets of unsettled weather across that area tonight and into tomorrow. The Hurricane Center is watching this area of disturbance, or a low pressure area, has about a 60% chance for a tropical cyclone development over the next 7 days, and it should form into a tropical depression by about Tuesday, when it should move inland over Nicaragua. Now we want to focus on the track of Tommy, which should continue to pull away from the northern Leeward Islands northward and then eventually northeast, courtesy of that high pressure system and that jet just south of Bermuda. Here's a look at your boating forecast for tonight and into tomorrow across the northwest Bahamas. We expect those winds to be light and variable, less than 10 knots, becoming northeast at 10 to 15 knots tomorrow. Seas will be running less than 3 feet, building up to 2 to 4 feet tomorrow. We can expect a low tide tonight at 9:11 p.m. with a high tide coming in tomorrow morning at 3:07 a.m. For the central and southeast Bahamas, light swells out there. A risk for rip currents will increase as those winds pick up. Winds will be northeast-east at 10 to 15 knots tonight, becoming caution tomorrow at 15 to 20 knots. Seas 2 to 4, building up to 4 to 6 feet by tomorrow evening. Here's a look at your national forecast. And in your extended forecast, as we head back to work tomorrow, some clouds, not much to worry about. We still have those dry and stable conditions that should persist pretty much into most of the week. We expect those highs to be into the mid-80s with the lows into the mid to low 70s. However, we do expect a bump in rain chances Sunday. We expect the trough to move from the southeast and into our area, so we want to continue to monitor that throughout the course of the week. But that's it for your weather for this evening. Have a great night, everyone. Prepare for work tomorrow and have a great week, everyone.
The International Cultural Weekend was back in full swing. The two-day event featured some of the world's best. This year, the venue was a bit different, not the usual botanical gardens. This time, Fort Charlotte welcomed hundreds into the weekend trip around the world. One of them is someone I'm currently very jealous of, our entertainment reporter Danielle Miller, who got her fair share of food and lots of fun.
Come and taste the flavors of countries with us at the International Cultural Wine and Food Festival. Here at Fort Charlotte, we have all the tasty details for you. The highly anticipated and well-attended event is put on by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
It's a social way for people to get the message of interdependence. Food makes things move more quickly. You notice that every time there's a meeting of some place, if you want people to show up, you have food there and you have drink, and people be able to socialize and talk and get to know one another. And that's the message here. I mean, there's in the general atmosphere, the default position in our country is xenophobic. But people have to understand that we don't live in isolation, that we're in a big world.
The usual parade of nations was on display, giving revelers a trip around the world through food, beverages, and entertainment.
Witamy w Polsce. Dzień dobry.
Which means, good day, welcome to Poland. Just one of the many international vendors at the festival.
We have spicy pork sausages as well as a sweet sausage variety. There's smoked sausages straight from Poland. Delicious, delicious food. Very, very good. Come try it. Come check it out. A plethora of amazing, amazing things here.
First-time local vendor, Boiling Point, provided a signature menu of treats.
We sell a selection of a variation of boils from lobster, shrimp, crab, mussels, crayfish. We also have appetizers, shrimp fries, lobster rolls, shrimp rolls, ramen, as well as an assortment of drinks as well.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
Looks like a great time. Thanks so much, Danielle, and thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepard. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.